Hey, everybody.
What up?
It's Monica. It's Monica.
Always
Our
reminds me
paranormal world. Yeah.
always reminds me of Jazzercise or something. Remember that shit?
Mm. It reminds me of American Horror Story 1984.
See, I couldn't get into the American Horror Stories.
Really? See, I did with some of them. I didn't with all of them. I couldn't get into the apocalypse. It kind of freaked me out a little too much. But I saw the Ghost House. I saw Coven. I saw a little bit of Asylum. I liked Coven well enough. I mean, it went through. I mean, you've got to watch Coven since we're going to New Orleans in January.
Okay. Isn't that the Roanoke one?
No,
Roanoke,
that's a different one. No, Coven is 100% Coven. There's a little bit of Coven in the Apocalypse season, but since we're going to be in New Orleans, I mean, it goes into a lot of the like notorious people from New Orleans, like LaLaurie and Marie Laveau. They're characters inside of Coven. So it's pretty interesting. Since we're going to be hitting up the Anne Rice stuff, my friend Edward that's going with us, he's going to be hitting up all of from the originals. I don't know if you watched that TV show. It's about vampires and werewolves, and it takes place in New Orleans.
Right on. Yeah, no, I watched a few episodes of the one. I guess it was the Roanoke-esque one, and then I guess that was in 1984, the one that had like the Richard Ramirez character. Or whatever.
Yeah, that was 84. I liked 84.
Yeah, I watched a few of them, but
decade. Yeah, gotta rep it. So Joe and I were talking backstage about how life is just like totally kicking us in the balls lately. Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah, it's just like in Scream, bam, bitch went down, bam.
Yeah, for real. No, me and Jim got hit with like back to back, dude. Like both of our cars needed repairs on them, and you're talking like each one of these things I'm talking about is like, a couple $100 a piece.
Oof.
And our electric bill was double what it usually is.
Ow.
It was like everywhere we turned. So like in the last like 5 days, we probably taken on, oh man, I don't even know how much money that we don't have. So like, and then that all that does is it really just causes stress, right? And then then you get stressed out and like, then you start bickering at each other, and then before you know it, the tension's negative, everything's, fights are, started at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So yeah, my life, I've been listening to a lot of 60s and 70s soul music just to keep my shit together. I'm like, my radio's like chock full of Al Green and Marvin Gaye.
All right.
Yeah, got to.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I've been getting kicked in the nuts. It's been mostly at work. Like it was going pretty steady, and then all of a sudden it was like an avalanche of crap. And that's never fun. That's just never fun.
No.
It's not bleeding over into my personal life yet. Sure, that's on the way. But I like what Pyromedic said. Sometimes you've got to Rochambeau.
Yeah. No, yeah, that was another one too. So like the other day, out of the middle of nowhere, my dude that owns the shop that I work at, he's like, "Hey man, go outside and make sure everything looks good. I got someone coming over. They're gonna probably buy, rent out the building." So I'm like, "Oh, so I'm potentially losing my job." All right.
What?
Yeah, because if they rent it out, then where am I going to work? So I was like, "Oh, okay." So someone's good. And what sucks is that, like, for the last 5 years, um, I've been managing that place, and I'm like, there's only two people that work there at a time. So like, I work 5 days a week. Another person work too. So it's kind of like, my baby. You know what I mean? Like I've been there, and I'm the one that does everything. I do all the orders. I take care of all the BS. I don't clean so well because I'm a dude. But other than that,
I don't
yeah,
clean so well either. I'm a lady, so that's fine. It's not my calling.
right. But it's like it's like my setup. Like when I got there, I rearranged it. Put this here to make this look right. Yada yada yada. Now it's potentially I'm gonna have to figure something out. I mean, I'll probably end up going working at the gas station, but still, it's just kind of a extra. It was an extra. You gotta be kidding me, kind of a moment.
I get it. Yeah, so we had this whole streak at our work, and sorry, we're boring everybody with their personal lives. Like I've had a streak at my work though, where like we had a bunch of superintendents just go to other places. It happens, right? You get turnover with any job, but it just like it all happened at once, and we were running okay, but then we started getting a lot more projects, so we hired some more superintendents, and then it's just like I said, it's just like an avalanche all of a sudden. Like I've got projects closing, I've got projects starting, and it's stressful. It's stressful. My husband read an article that said like the number one, like most stressful job is a project manager. And I was like, yeah, sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I believe it. I worked at a lot of manufacturing plants and tech companies, and project managers are always like they're constant because everything's up to them. You know what I mean? So all the weight is on their shoulders.
All the burden. I get all the shit and none of the glory. It's so much fun. Like I always tell my superintendents, like they're gonna love you. You're the one delivering it. You're the one on site every day making it happen. I'm the one who's handing them change orders and telling them no.
Right.
Nobody likes me.
I like you.
And I force people to stay on schedule even though they don't want to.
Yeah.
It's like herding cats. But anyway, let's talk about Bigfoot, because that is what everybody wants to hear.
Bigfoots.
Bigfoot. So I have been researching Bigfoot for 22 years now. Almost 23 years. Yeah, it's been a minute. And I have been in some shit. I have seen some stuff. I've been around the world. I've talked to a lot of people. I know a lot of the researchers, especially the old school researchers, from back in the day. Old guard. I know them. And, been in it a minute. I know some pretty cool places to go investigate. I myself have never had a Bigfoot sighting now, for as much as I have been out in the field doing my thing. I've never really seen anything Bigfoot related that I couldn't explain away, right? Because I'm not going to assume that every crunch of leaf or every, weird noise in the dark is Sasquatch, right? You've got to think a little bit further than that. And I just never experienced anything that I couldn't say that was an armadillo. That that was potentially other researchers that don't know you're in the area. I mean, if you're in a popular area, there's a likelihood there's going to be other people out there, especially back in the early 2000s when it was starting to really ramp up. And, and you can't rule out hoaxing too. I mean, there's people out there that thinks it's, just funny as all get out to go make noises, not knowing that depending on what state you're in, there's some pretty well-armed individuals out there looking to bag one. So maybe don't do that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's to me like I was saying backstage, like I'm not by any means an researcher, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, but other than the fact of not wanting to end up being a Bigfoot turd, I I think humans are the most viable threat if you were going to go do something like that. You know what I mean? And it's the same as like, like hunting without a vest during hunting season back in the day. You know what I mean? You just start shooting at twigs snapping, and before you know it, man down.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I know of more than one instance where there was a gun pulled on somebody.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
but
I had a panicked person pull a gun. I wasn't there that night, but I had to panic. It wasn't even a new person. Panicked relatively, or I shouldn't say panicked. I should say spooked. A spooked, relatively seasoned investigator. He pulled a gun on my husband coming back. He was walking between researchers. He was going to check on somebody who's in a tree stand down the way. And this guy knew my husband was out there and on his way back. And on his way back, he was so freaked out, he pulled a gun on him. So that's
crazy.
Upset me just a little bit.
Upset Monica? No way.
Monica. She's so easygoing. Actually, I am pretty easygoing. You got to try really hard to get me off. You got to work hard at that.
But that makes sense though too, because I mean, because I never even really thought about that until you just said it. But you bring in like tree stands into the mix, and now you're talking height elevation. So if they saw like a silhouette, or and you're not at a normal human height, and they're like, no, it was like 12 foot.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and anybody who says that, they've been in the woods and they've never been scared is full of shit. I'm not saying you're out there like, oh my God, terrified of every noise. You're a seasoned hunter. You're used to noises. You're used to, things. But I promise you, at some point in your life in the woods, something has spooked you. It doesn't mean you stayed scared, but something has spooked you at some point. Yeah, I promise you. I think there are very few people. And if you've been out there and you've had a lot of strange things happen, or you've heard some strange things and you weren't slightly spooked, even for a moment, then you have zero self-preservation, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with you on it. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to, there was like a creek, it's a good sized creek, and it was like about a mile or two from where me and my buddies lived. And yeah, we used to go there all the freaking time, stay out there all day long. Never once in my mind did I ever think of anything like Bigfoot or nothing like that. I wasn't scared of the woods and the creek and all that. But I do remember one time we went to one of our friends, two brothers, we went to their cousins or something, and we were out there, and it was pretty weird. Like something started throwing like rocks into the creek that we were next to, like all these, and then a freaking snake fell out of a tree. I remember like a limb breaking and a snake falling out of a tree, and we were like, nope, this is not our neck of the woods.
Time to go. Yeah. How about now? It's time to go.
But now that I've gotten into the, I guess, the mythos or whatever of the cryptid community and done my research, I think about, past things. Like, so when I was a kid, we went to the Smoky Mountains, and we went way out there, and I didn't think nothing of it. I thought it was like the coolest freaking, woods I ever been in. But now that I look back, I'm like, dude, I should have been freaking terrified, being out there, because
sure,
because there's all the well, I guess, how would you call it, all the side dishes that go along with a lot of the cryptids are all out there. You got like high quartz levels, high granite levels, you got, and obviously your hours from any kind of real rescue, you know what I mean? So like,
yeah, that messes with the Because, when you're out there, like you said, and you're hours from any kind of rescue civilization, even,
Mm-hmm.
that'll mess with your head. Because, I mean, I remember. I remember when I took a group of us, and we were only out for a week, but we went out to the South San Juans, right, into a wilderness area in the South San Juan mountains of Colorado. And being that it was a wilderness area, it's not like you can drive in. You got to drive to the trailhead and hoof your butt in the rest
Right.
of the way. And, we hiked until, we came to a point in the river. We thought that we would be able to cross this river and get deeper into the mountains. But the river was high. It was glacier melt. It was freezing. And because it was running high and fast, we had some members in the group that couldn't, cross the river. So we ended up staying on this, not going as far in as we thought we would go. And we were still, a good ways from the cars. And I just, when we hiked in, it was no big deal. But man, we even cut it short because every day this thunderstorm would come over the top of the mountain, and being at 10,000 feet elevation, 11,000 feet elevation with lightning strikes come,
Right.
and you're in a tent. Yeah, that's not fun.
In a little tent.
Yeah, that's not fun. Plus there was, if I slept wrong, there's thin air. I couldn't stand up fast. I almost fainted multiple times. It was just, it was an interesting experience, but just knowing that, like, if something really went sideways, we had emergency beacons that we could hit, but it's still like quite a ways. And you're going to have to wait. Like, so if you got mauled by a bear, let's say, good luck, because one of our members was a trauma surgeon. And I remember when I was doing training camps with everybody, I'd have him talk about, kind of field first aid. And he would always say, just don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. Because if we're far enough out, I can't help you. Like, there's nothing I could do to help you if I don't have the right things and you get hurt bad enough. So my advice is take it slow, be careful, and just don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. I learned that one. So like this creek I'm talking about, it was like, has like shored sides, right? Like big cliff sides. And the entrance to it, we had to go sneak through this guy's property. And you go through like this little trailhead, and it's like you're on the side of a cliff, but it just so happened that the cliff like went out and then went down a little bit, like 10 feet, out a little bit further and down a little bit. It kind of had like a staircase. So, you get used to it when you're a kid. I'm talking 4th, 5th grade, maybe, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. And so you get used to, you could jump from one to the next and all the way down. And by the time you're done, you're, in the creek.
Right.
And this goes back to what you're talking about, like no one being around. I never fathomed that thought. And I think I was like 10, and I had a girlfriend, brand new girlfriend. I think she was like 12 or 13.
Ooh.
And
the older ladies.
But so I got excited. I'm like, yeah, come on, check it out, because we're good at hopping down that thing. And I was running towards the edge of that thing, and one of those roots that like come out of the ground and go back into the ground caught my foot. And all I saw was sky, dark, sky, dark, sky, dark.
Oh my gosh.
And I look up, and I'm looking up at my friends, and they're like 40, 50 feet up the side of the cliff.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so I had like this big freaking goose egg, and like, I'm like, oh, dude. And I hit a tree and everything. And I remember, because when you're a kid, you're still a kid. So everyone's like, quick, we gotta get it, like playing medic, you know what I mean? They're like, you go.
Like, no, for real, man. I'm feeling woozy here.
Grab some cold moss from the creek, and they're like putting moss on my freaking head. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, no, this trip's done. The only thing I remember is trying not to cry in front of my new girlfriend. I'm like, no, I'm
so
all right.
Bad. You're lucky you didn't like get injured more severely.
Yeah, like break something, break a
Yeah,
leg. I mean,
like your neck.
So I ended up having to walk home, for 2 freaking miles with, this big freaking baseball on my freaking head.
We had to walk it off back then. There was
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and then I got home and just got my ass completely whooped by my mom, because I got hurt.
yeah, right. I remember. So I used to spend the summers with my cousins, right, in Southwest Oregon, and they lived in a pretty rural area, like actually a very rural area. And there were dairy farms around us and just farms. So my grandfather owned this property they were in a valley. And my grandfather owned this property that was, on the slope of the mountain on the other side of this pretty decent creek. And he and my uncle had built this bridge to cross the creek. Mm-hmm. And we used to play down there all the time. I mean, the smell of creosote now, it makes me think of that bridge. But we used to, my cousins, over the winter, spring, whatever, when I wasn't there, had fashioned a rope swing into the creek, right off the bottom of the bridge. And I remember getting there one year, and we had just arrived. My brother and I were fresh out of the RV because my grandparents took us in the RV every summer up there. And we were running down to the creek to play. And my cousin, bless her, my cousin Amy was like, "Oh yeah, we got this cool rope swing." And she goes to swing on it. And she is like mid swing and the rope snaps. And she like flat back lands like on the rocks in the creek. And loving and sympathetic cousin Monica just started laughing.
Yeah, of course.
I feel so horrible. And she was so mature for her age, and I'm just like,
oh, what? Yeah, what
like,
did you?
And her sisters ran to help her. My cousins ran to help her while I'm standing on the banks of the creek laughing my ass off. And she's like, "I'm just so thankful it wasn't you guys, that it was me and not you."
Oh.
Still funny. Sorry, Amy. I was like, okay, I'm an immature ass. Sorry.
Now watching people get hurt is the funniest thing. Well, when I was a kid, now when I watch it, because I broke so many bones and done so much harm to my own self, that like now I can't even watch like the skating videos that used to make me laugh when you see someone wipe out or snap a leg or something. Like back in the day, I'd be like, dude, that's hilarious. And now I'm like,
Yeah, I get tingly. I still laugh, but my skin crawls. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, like he's gonna feel that when he's 40. Oh,
he's gonna feel it right now. It's gonna come back to haunt you when you're my age.
Right. So okay. So back to the Bigfoot thing. What is your because everyone's got their flesh and blood, or are they aliens or interdimensional beings? What's your? I know it's still all speculation, but your major go-to, like if you had to put, on all your chips on to a roulette table, where would you go with it?
Relic hominid. It's flesh and blood, in my opinion. And that's not to say that people aren't seeing something. People are seeing something. And as far-fetched as some of these stories sound, I didn't have that experience. And it took me a long time to be able to say that, because for the bulk of the years I've been in it, was just hard flesh and blood. That can't be, like, it's impossible to be anything else. But then I'm like, what a hypocrite am I? Like, because I'm seeing all these other weird things, and those are my experience. I know what I saw. And I'm sure a lot of people don't believe me, and that's their prerogative. But, why am I saying this about people that are having these odd experiences with Bigfoot? Because I don't subscribe to that with that particular creature. That just, their experiences weren't mine. So they're seeing something, and I don't know what that is. But I would be in the camp of it's flesh and blood.
Yeah, because that is a hard one to pitch, to be like, when we get down to these things, it's like, oh, well, fake, totally real, but Bigfoot, nah, it's just a big monkey. You know what I mean? It can't be scary.
Yeah, you know,
Or ghosts are real, but aliens are government. You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
anything like that. It's hard to put yourself in those categories, and especially when you do, like you're saying, especially when you do hear the weird, supernatural or
But there are so
paranormal
many
aspect.
weird things that happen in the world. And, if you're somebody who's had those experiences like I have, now I've never seen a UFO, but I've seen a lot of weird things. Um, it's so hypocritical for me to say, no, you didn't see that. You don't know that's not what that is,
Right,
And well, I might not think that it is Bigfoot necessarily. I think it's something. I think you definitely had some kind of an experience.
right.
Yeah. But my opinion, if you guys saw something and it's not that, I mean, I will never tell somebody, well, I'm not going to say never, because I think if, somebody's history is making stuff up, I'm not going to believe them. But just at face value, I'm going to take your story initially at face value, because I didn't have that experience. I wasn't there. That
Right.
wasn't my experience. And you're kind enough to share it with me. I'm not going to be like, "Oh, dude, you're so foolish," or
Well,
I would never make fun of anybody, because I have seen, like I said, I have seen some crazy stuff in my day, and I know what it's like to have somebody tell you that you don't know what you saw. It's upsetting,
right.
or tell you that what you saw isn't what you're saying it was. That's offensive. If you see something clear as day and you tell me I didn't see that, that's offensive.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And also, if you take into account this our paranormal world, right?
Hmm.
Then it's not even out of the range of possibility that there's mimics. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
if something knows that that's what you're afraid of, or that's what you're looking for, and it could be a shapeshifter, an evil demon or deity or
Could be an
whatever,
entity of some kind, right?
right? That just uses that to harness, fear
Your fear.
vampirism. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
100%.
that's not even entirely out of question. Or like what I can never remember the name of that.
An
What
egregore.
there you go. I was thinking
All you have
Igor.
to say is I can't remember the name.
I'm like, I was thinking Igor for some reason. I'm like, no, that's not.
Egregore. Egregore.
Yeah. Or, yeah,
Or a tulpa. Call it whatever you
hopefully,
want.
yeah,
Beat you up
exactly.
over it. Everybody calls it a tulpa anyway. I'm tired of correcting people.
Right. But the evidence um about Bigfoot, if you want to call it that, what gets my goat is that it's in every culture for all over different continents for
Hmm.
thousands of years.
Right.
They're in cave drawings for for ancient cultures. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, not everybody's even seen that cave or whatever, or been in there to go, hey, what's that? And then come up with the ideology in their head and then speak it into existence or whatever.
Right.
So it's obviously, a commonality of sightings that have been recorded by mankind for as long as we can freaking, research.
Right. And I mean, there are, the hairy man, the wild man, you know, stories all over, I mean, all on all the continents,
Right, exactly.
around the world. And I don't wonder, I mean, the pictographs, they saw something. I wonder if that wasn't a type of oral tradition being passed on. I mean, that's me trying to, like, okay, so that's me trying to rationalize everything, right? So you've got oral tradition being passed down, and they're describing these big, scary, hairy things that live up in the mountains. Now, whether or not you've seen it is another thing, but they're painting them on the walls, passed down from oral tradition.
Right.
Well, what did they see? Could have been
Pick,
Gigantopithecus.
pick at this.
I can spit that out. If you're over in Asia, 100%, it could have been that, if that's where this is going on. It could have been, relic humans, like old humans, right? You know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
From
no, I'm just like, you can't say oral and spit that out your mouth in the same 2 minutes with me. It just doesn't work that way.
I forgot.
I'm
I
too.
forgot you're stuck at 13 up there.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can't, I mean, who's to say that it's not, you know, a an oral story, an oral tradition passed down from what your ancestors were saying, and it's just,
Right.
played telephone through the ages, and this is what ends up on the wall. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But people
Right.
are also seeing something. I mean, there was something out there. Was it Neanderthals? Is that a throwback to back when those were roaming around with us?
Right.
I have no idea what they looked
Well,
like, but
I know. Yeah. Well, the thing with the Neanderthals would be the height. You know what I mean? That's where the buck would stop, as far as I'm personally concerned, because these things are freaking huge and freaking huge, freaking guy. Um, but so yeah, and I'm not 100% sold on that one either. I know there are um, discoveries of bones and stuff and skulls from what they consider the Neanderthal, but I don't know. I mean, we have extinct animals, even to our in our day. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
if you saw the skull of a dodo bird, and there's nothing to relate it to, because it's been wiped out, then yeah, you can come up with all sorts of.
Well, sure. I mean, and a lot of people think that's where the dragon stories came from, right? They were finding fossils in House of Dragon. Yeah, sure. Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, well, I guess a curiosity on this, but so whenever you go to Patty, right? Where do you settle on Patty?
And the whole Patterson
Yeah,
Gimlin thing.
yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so I I never met Roger, obviously. Um, I do know Bob. And hearing the stories of Roger, it wouldn't surprise me if he was trying to get something and Bob, if it was fake, I don't think Bob was in on it. Bob didn't know. And I could see where Roger would potentially do that. Right. But, in that, okay, so in that Monster Quest episode that I was in, they analyzed the PG film. And
You've heard Monster Quest? That's awesome.
you don't know that?
No, I did not. No.
Yes. I was in Monster Quest.
If I did, it happened after a few
I was on
months.
Strange Travels too.
Cool.
But yeah, so in that episode, they were doing some kind of analysis on the PG film, and they were using a lot of contrasting images to bring out detail. And what struck me was the hair pattern going down the back of her neck was very similar to a dog with its hackles up, right? It was the hair pattern of something that's like, oh, like bristled up, like, oh, which would make sense. And the hair flow was very natural looking. I think the muscle movement on the camera is very natural looking. I don't think that was really something that would have been just slapped together, in a studio in LA or in some person's garage and then gone out there like, oh, we're going to pull one over on them. It was a little beyond what I think was typical of the time. So I think that it's real. And I do not think they were massacred at all. I don't. But I do think that the film is real.
Okay, yeah. See, like I guess that was my first, when I was a kid, I guess probably almost everybody's first introduction to it. but I bought it, and the two that I actually really bought was Bigfoot and Nessie, right? So I wholly subscribed to it. Now, when I got older and started thinking about it, and actually listening to a lot of the different arguments, I started actually relating it, right? So that was in the 60s, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not correct.
I think so.
So right. So then I think back to Planet of the Apes, right? In the 60s. Right. So you have a $1 million production budget on a movie, to make, the best costumes, to make the most realistic looking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got these two dudes that captured something that looks better than any of those freaking $1 million budget costumes. You know what I mean? So that to me is the I guess the magic bullet theory kind of a thing. I'm like, yeah, that's
right.
very, very, like, yeah, if it looked like crap because you didn't have the bread for it, then it would be far less quality than something that major Hollywood production had bread for. You know what I mean? I guess.
Yeah, and this is getting slapped together in somebody's garage, or the guy worked with FX, but still, like, it was not like down in LA with all the
with the whole team.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's what gets me to go. And that's what that things to make you go, that's the one for me. For sure.
Absolutely. So, talking about research. So, I was going to mention some of the places that I've been and the places that I enjoy going out and looking around. Now, granted, I don't have the luxury of spending weeks at a time in any one particular location. I know people that have spent weeks at a time in a single location, and the results aren't any better than the people that spend a week in a location, in my opinion. You get a lot of people saying, oh, I saw something, oh, this happened, but there's no hard evidence backing any of it up that I've ever been presented with. I mean, I've even been out, like, I was out at Area X, the original Area X, not the one that is being used currently. I haven't been to that location. But the original Area X, I did have some people in camp sitting right next to me telling me they were seeing eye shine come up and down behind a truck that was parked like 50 feet away, not far. And I didn't see anything. I saw nothing. I didn't see any eye shine. I sure didn't see anything coming up and down from behind the hood of the car or through the passenger, like they were looking through the driver's window, through the passenger's window, seeing something moving around. I didn't see that. So I got up and walked over there, and screw it, dude. I want to know, like, I saw an owl in the tree.
But a Bigfoot turd, I swear to God, girl.
Yeah. I wasn't getting that prickly feeling. Let me tell you, if there's something in the area,
right,
you feel it. You feel it. Especially if it's a predator, you feel it. And I didn't feel anything. But I mean, I was also very curious because I'm like, what the hell are you seeing? Because I'm not saying, I mean, they were sitting literally, like, their chair around the campfire was right next to me, and I'm like leaning, I'm like putting my head in front of their head, like, where are you? I don't see anything. So, there are people that have experiences with other people right there. They're seeing something in like, I'm not. And this person, I believe her. She's a very honest person. She's not somebody that would make anything up. So I believe she saw something, but I don't know what that was because I didn't see anything.
Right.
But yeah, some of the places that I enjoy investigating. Okay, so really pretty much anywhere you go in East Texas is going to be good. There is a location that is very close to the border with Louisiana, straight down 190. So you're taking 45 south, you go 190 almost all the way to the border. There is a state park out there that's pretty good. There is the place that I have had most of my encounters is not at that state park, but it is very close to it. And I don't want to tell everybody where it is because I don't want to spoil it. But East Texas, pretty much anywhere, if you can get on some land that's got a lot of untouched wilderness, let's say, attached to it, I think you have a pretty good chance of something happening, particularly in the spring and in the fall, because I don't remember anything really taking place in the summertime. I don't. And I was wondering if that wasn't like a migratory, not that they're migrating like from the north to the south, but territorial range, as they're passing through, if those weren't the seasons that they were passing through this area. Because most of the time when I had odd things happen out there, it was in the spring. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. It was in the spring, or it was full winter, or fall leading into winter.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, that's not an odd thing though at all. I mean, it's the spring and the winter and the summer are, they're basically like almost hibernational times. You know what I'm saying? Like even when you see like the worst time to be out at night driving and hitting a deer is either in the fall or in the spring. You know what I mean? Because either everything's hiding from the sun and trying to stay cool, or they're trying to stay warm, and hanging out, getting away from. Because those are the extremities of the weather system, right? So, and also, if you go with the whole Earth thing, the spring and the fall are the what would you call it? Like the birth of renewal, and then the
okay. So so like depending on which like pagan religion you might have read about, but like in the Celtic, there was Diana, right? And she would go underground in the fall. That was her heading under, and that was the time for Cernunnos to come up. So the horn god, like the winter god, would come up, and that would be winter. So that there are times of transition.
Right. There you go. Yeah. And that actually brings into a different aspect to it that we do talk about a lot, is the inner earth aspect. Because that's when the climate doesn't change, down there. So if it's it's like, hey, it's time to pop out and go gather some whatever, and
twigs and berries.
Let's go frolic a little bit, and then we're gonna duck back down and stay where it's warm or cool, during those times of the season. So that but yeah, I think so when you're talking about the East Texas thing, that holds a lot of water because you got the big thicket, right?
Oh yeah, and that's where I was. I'm literally in the middle of the big thicket. I lived back when I first got into this here in Texas. That's where I was living. So that's where the bulk of my investigation was going on. And
I've been there once, and I remember it just being like a whole like a different world, like being on a different planet. Like
it is. I mean, if you get deep in there, it's crazy. So if you get into, there's a lot of deciduous forest, right? Because I remember being up near Nacogdoches, Angelina Forest. I love that word. I love Nacogdoches. It sounds, I like saying it. But anyway, I was in the Angelina Forest, and we hoofed it off trail, like deep into that forest. And it was deciduous. And you could tell nobody had been through there. There's a mat of like leaf debris from clearly years of collecting, and none of it was disturbed. And I just remember like going in there and looking around thinking there hadn't been shit coming through. There wasn't even a fox trail. There was no game trails through there. And that was interesting. So it is a crazy world. And I guess the Angelina's kind of on the fringe of the big thicket. I was like around Woodville, east of Livingston. And it's thick. It is thick down in there. And, one of the times I've been most scared, like, it wasn't in the Sam Houston National Forest, but it was near it. And it was this little area that we had that we would research. It was down this, I couldn't even tell you how to get there anymore, but it was deep in East Texas. It was down some FM road, and it was wildlife management area. And we had camped there overnight, and we didn't have fires going because it was in the middle of the summer. So burn ban, no fire. And we had all turned in for the night. And I woke up it was me and my friend Jerry and a couple of other guys that were in the group. And I wake up to, they're yelling, and they're clearly like not running through camp, but they're clearly like moving through camp quickly, and they're yelling, and I couldn't understand what they were yelling. And it is pitch black. I mean, pitch black. I couldn't see anything. And I was alarmed because I'm coming out of this dead sleep. I was exhausted because I had driven all the way down there. I had done research, pretty deep into the night, and I had passed out, essentially just passed out. I was exhausted. And then I get rousted out of asleep by, alarmed voices. And, when I'm comprehending what they're saying, they're like, it's running, it's going this way, it's circling the camp. And I'm like, holy shit, what's circling? And we ended up getting the lanterns lit, and I get my bearings. I get, combobulated. I don't know what it was circling the camp. I'm going to be very honest, because at first I thought it was a hog, because they were all over. I mean, we'd seen them come in and out, and it would be very typical for a hog, especially in East Texas, to just be roaming that area. They're just so invasive in the South now. I mean, They're terrible. They're tearing everything up. They're open season on them year round because they're such an invasive menace. But anyway, whatever it was purposefully staying outside of the light, right? So the ring of light. And it was clearly like a shark circling the camp. Now, it wasn't being quiet. And it was huffing. That's why I thought at first it was a hog. And maybe it was a monster. Maybe it was Hogzilla. Hell, I don't know. But it was big. Whatever it was not low to the ground. It was pretty high off. These sounds were coming pretty high off the ground.
Yeah, sorry, Hogzilla got me.
Well, I mean, that was a legit thing.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, no.
But
I'm pretty sure.
Could have been. I mean, hell, I don't know. But that was probably the most freaked out I've been, like, just coming out of a dead sleep was that. But I mean, there's always, you spend enough time in the field, you're going to get some crazy stories. So in Texas, in my region, that is a good area to investigate. Really, pretty much anywhere you can. Just make sure you're not on private land. I mean, go make sure you're on public land, and spend some time and try to separate. I mean, if it's an active weekend, like, don't go when there's going to be 100 million campers out there. Go Labor Day weekend. Don't go Memorial Day weekend or the 4th of July. And when you do go, try to keep yourself distanced maybe a little bit from the other campers, because you might get something curious coming in and checking you out. And that's when you get a lot of interesting things happening. So that's my advice. Like, if you're in the Texas area, Louisiana, Arkansas, come on down, come on over. Anywhere in East Texas, I think you have a pretty good chance if you stay long enough. And also in the South. So I did some investigation in Georgia. And I will say that, can't remember if it's the Daniel Boone National Forest that ran through there. So I was up in North Georgia. I was near Fort Mountain State Park, which is gorgeous. That is the most beautiful state park I think I've ever been in. We were always there kind of mid to late October, and it looked like Walden's Pond. It is probably the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen in my life. And it's got some decent activity going on around it. So I think anywhere near, I think it's Cherry Log is one of the towns. It's in North Georgia. So anywhere up in there seems to be pretty good with not just Bigfoot activity, but also dogman activity. Because I've heard some stories, just flitterings from people. Oh yeah, somebody said they saw a dogman. I didn't hear the whole story, but I heard, oh, they said they saw. So that's a pretty good area. But then also, if you want to just be creeped out, if you just want to be creeped out, like this place in the South San Juan wilderness that we went, there is something with that land. There is something with that land. It got to me. I mean, it got to me. I had nightmares like involving that place for a good 6-7 months after we left. So, I mean, it's one thing if you're at altitude, you're not used to the thin air, you're going to like maybe feel a little weird, but it's like that creepy feeling stuck with me. And I had nightmares for like 6 months afterwards about it. And, it wasn't so much like what we saw. It's what we didn't see. It's what you didn't hear. It get real quiet, like real quiet. It made me uncomfortable. I mean, I've been around tall trees. The trees don't bother me. I've been up in the mountains. That doesn't bother me. I hadn't been at that elevation before. So I was kind of chalking everything up to thin air. Right. But one night we were all at our stations around camp. We were up higher elevations, up on the mountain, but we were all looking down into camp. And we did see something come into camp, and we don't know what it was. Because at first we thought it was one of the team that was with us. It was two guys. They were off on their own, and they tend to like call it quits kind of early compared to everybody else. So we saw this red light just appear in the field, and it looked like a red headlamp. And it was kind of moving like a person would. It went around through the tents, which I thought was odd because this guy and his friend had their tent kind of off away from everybody. So they weren't in the main tent, grouping area. So I was like, what the hell is he doing going through the camp? And then the light went out and I couldn't figure out. I was like, well, maybe he didn't need it anymore. My friend, his wife was in camp, but she was asleep when we left, and we would have seen her if she's going to turn her headlight on. We would have seen it leave camp and come back, kind of thing. So we don't know what that was, but I just can't stress enough. There's something weird with the area in the South San Juan wilderness. And if you investigate it, I mean, there's other people that have said similar things. Like there's UFO sightings in the area. There's, just general strangeness. So that's another good place if you want to go out and investigate. Never go alone.
That goes back to what, you were talking about earlier. See, that's one of the okay, when it comes down to the, I guess you'd call it the non-flesh and blood or the paranormal Bigfoots or dogmans or any of the skinwalkers, all the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. When, like you were saying earlier, when you're absolutely sitting there doing nothing, or maybe you're just, roasting some s'mores over a campfire, and everybody feels that, that ominous feeling,
that weight. It's like
heavy atmosphere. Now see that to me, that's when you're not. I mean, yeah, sure, you're. I guess what you'd call like your self-preservation instincts would kick in, but that's usually when you see something and it's a predator, and you know that you're in trouble. Like, oh, there's a bear over there. You see some bear cubs. You like, the mom's around here somewhere. Mm-hmm. We're in trouble. You know what I mean? But if you don't see anything, you know what I mean, and you just get that eerie, ominous feeling, especially when it's shared by multiple people, which is a lot of the accounts that people have, with these cryptids or whatever you want to call them. That to me is whenever we're like starting to venture into the spooky side of life. You know what I mean? Now it's not just, right. Now it's not just some, because I mean, all right, if I'm sitting outside, drinking a beer on my freaking front porch, and I don't hear it or see it, and there's like a pack of wolves passing by behind the back of my house. I'm not going to be like, "Did you feel that?" You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
dude, there's something, But now if I hear rustling going on, then sparks my curiosity. Then I go investigate or what
Sure.
have you, and then the hair on your back might stand up. But yeah, I don't, I don't
Sorry,
have
I'm
hair on
laughing
my
at Pyromedic. He likes my sound effects. I'll give you the bear huffing sound effect when we get close. When I start talking about the Gifford.
the hog
It's
huffing
very
sound.
similar to a bear huff, I'm sure. I didn't hear. I mean, it was chuffing, I'm sure. Um, but
But
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, when everybody's feeling that, then you have to stop and take notice. There's
right.
something. I mean, like I said, you've felt it if you've been out there, if you've hunted. I mean, when there's a predator in the area.
Yeah. And like a lot of times, because I've had a lot of UFO sightings, and a lot of times that was exactly the case. Now, the one time that I saw, and this way before I ever even knew it, years before I knew they existed, or even seen any stories about them, the black triangle thing, like that one, no feeling whatsoever.
What black
So
triangle thing?
the black triangle UFOs, like
Oh, 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 yeah,
Phoenix Lights,
yeah.
those ones. So that made me sub to the fact that, hey, Jim's here. What's she doing? Oh no, it's my cat snuck in. She's in heat, and so she's trying to
Oh,
hook up
ain't
with
no
me.
door gonna keep her from you.
No, no, dude, I can't stand it.
Come
She's
on
like,
now, I'm a cat person. Be nice.
she backs it up on my foot, and I'm like, you don't want none of this, bro. She
Allow me to
does.
get her fixed when I come down there to visit.
Jen won't because she's the only indoor cat. So Jen's like, no, there's no reason for it. And I'm like, once a month
It's
I have to go
annoying.
through this. But where was I? Oh yeah, so that made me think, instantly when I saw that thing for the first time. This is in like probably this had to be late '80s, early '90s. It had to be early '90s, maybe '91. And yeah, that instantly made me go. Well, as I got older, um, maybe I think I lean more towards a government or man-made, not a interdimensional or extraterrestrial. I'm gonna go put this cat up here.
What,
Be
the
right back.
triangle?
Yeah, the triangle. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't know, because the other time. Okay, so the dude that is my best friend, that we had a lot of UFO experiences with when I was around that age, from around fourth grade to about ninth grade. Like I could count on easy two hands, if not more. But we would always, like we'd be chilling, like we'd hang out at night and on his mom's roof, and
Like you do.
yeah, and we'd instantly like
Hey,
both.
Jen.
There she is. We'd instantly both look in the same direction, like, and then there he is. You see it. Quit messing with the wires.
No, I'm a cat. Screw you, I'm a cat.
She's all wrapped up in the cords.
Oh, her's a black cat.
Yeah. Demon. Yeah, Diddle. That's her name.
Appropriate.
Yeah, well, it's a mix between we found her underneath the house, in the insulation, and Jen heard just like a kid whining and went and cut her out of the insulation under the house, and kept her in a box because her mom would just go back and forth. So Jen put her in a box so the mom could come back and feed her and then take off, and she wouldn't get lost. And there's a ICP album called Riddle Box. So I was like, it was a riddle that we found her. She lives in a box. We call her Riddle Box. And then I just got sheared up to Diddle. for some weird reason. Anyway, but yeah, back to the ominous part, right? So, there was an attachment with a no reason feeling to feel that, presence or whatever. But with that one, didn't at all. We were just
That's
weird.
interesting.
Yeah, we were laying in the back of my stepdad's truck because we were kids and we were smoking cigarettes. And you can't sit up in the back of the truck, and so laying down on our backs at night, he's like going down the road, and we're like, oh, look at that, and there's this freaking black triangle with 3 lights, hovering silent about, I'd say maybe about 500-600 feet in the air.
That's a real casual, hey, look at that.
Yeah. We're like, because we've seen a bunch of them before that, so it wasn't that big of a deal. We're like, oh, another one. That one's triangle shaped because we'd seen the cigar.
That one's a triangle. This one's a star.
Yeah, we've seen the cigars. We've seen the disc shaped.
I haven't seen shit.
So
I need to go hang out on a roof with you, apparently.
Yeah, it's great. I haven't seen one. The last one
I don't know if I want to see them because, to be honest with you, the thought of an extraterrestrial, that freaks me out, because when an advanced civilization meets a less advanced civilization, doesn't generally bode well for the lesser advanced civilization, which would be us.
Yeah. No, the last one I saw that was legit that I couldn't unexplain, and I very much couldn't, was that it was a mirrored orb, and it was.
Oh God! Like what's it? Like the.
Yeah, like on Phantasm. Yeah, like that, but huge.
No,
and it was basically chasing cattle in this. There's a ranch down the road, and there was a light on the ground, but there was no light coming from the orb, right? So we were all chilling, hanging out, partying, and my brother who passed, him and his buddy left, and they got, I guess, right down the road. They ended up coming back, and they busted in the door, and they're like, dude, y'all got to come see this. And they're like, come on, let's go. And so everyone in the household, went and got there, and we took 3 or 4 cars. And as soon as you got close to it, the cars started cutting out and messing up. Couldn't hear radio, whole 9 yards. And
you could get fire in the sky, man.
Yeah. Oh, says the Bigfoot turd.
I ain't scared of no big. Actually, I am scared of Bigfoot. I don't want to be that close. I didn't think there was anything over there. I would not have been so bold.
No, but yeah, and then you can see the light on the ground, and the cows are freaking out. But it's a huge ranch, It's like.
I bet they were.
Oh, yeah,
chased around by the phantasm, an oversized phantasm.
Yeah, that was. I think that's the last one I've seen, unless it happened during a freaking blackout.
Good God, no, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. We'll have to have a UFO show.
Yeah, they're freaky, man.
Because like I said, I don't I saw the fourth kind. I'm A-okay. I don't want to wake up with some crap over my face, 20 light years up in the sky. Homes of dead people and nah. I don't want to be the only conscious person. I don't want.
Yeah, no, that cat that we had as a guest on the Breezy Speakeasy, Creektown, he was actually with me and about 12 other people, and we all experienced a UFO that pretty much shined a light on us, and then we lost time for about 3 hours.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. Okay, he's witnessed 100%.
Do you have a common thread when these things happen to you? Or are you out in the middle of nowhere?
No,
clearly you're with groups of people, but I'm just wondering, do I not go down country roads with you? Am I safe in the city? Where can I
No,
hang out with you?
so majority of the ones that I saw when I was a kid with me and my buddy Ryan, majority of those were like in the city, like in North Austin, like in a very, very populated section of the city.
Right.
The one that we had where we had experienced lost time, that was literally in what's now my backyard. We had like a 20-foot tree house, and we were teenagers, like late teens, but we'd hang out up there. But my cousin was a very sober individual, so we couldn't blame him. I did a show with him on my channel, and we discussed that one. And so he was there, and he wasn't partaking in any, substance activities, and he saw the same thing. And he actually even drew a sketch out of the trajectory of it, because he's like an artsy dude. He can draw really well. So he was like, yeah, I went here and then up, zigzag, then stopped, pivoted, and whole 9 yards. And then the mirror orb was probably about a quarter mile down this street and maybe a quarter mile down the highway from there.
Hey, hanging out at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be lucky if you hang out with me now, just so you know. I'm gonna be like, stay over there, Breezy. We didn't eat grays poking shit in places.
Yeah, those ones were. I thought it was like, it became like a normalcy for me to see those things. You know what I mean?
Crazy. Like, okay, we're gonna have to have we'll have to have a UFO show then, and we'll dig down on it, because that's another topic that I think a lot of people are interested in. I used to be the UFO-free researcher. I was so into it in my younger years that I just burnt myself out, and I haven't really gotten back into it. I mean, I listen to the stories. Some of them are interesting, but by and large, I'm like, I'm just not the kind of person that can just dive into it. My husband loves like reading about UFOs and watching, Undisclosed, I think, is one that he really likes. And I liked that one. I did like that one. It was very interesting.
Well,
he loves it.
Well, we can also touch down a little bit on tomorrow. So tomorrow on the Speakeasy, we're going to be talking about the moon and the moon anomalies. Yeah, like so, and that has a whole UFO connection to it too. So we'll probably slightly crop dust that piece a little bit.
Is that why? Okay, so you asked me if I thought that the moon was like hollow, like the Death Star. Yeah. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Nope.
We'll get into it tomorrow.
We're going to get into it tomorrow on the Breezy Speakeasy.
Yeah, because I could go, well, then what about this right now? And then we're going to take this thing all the way.
So if we land on it, we're going to hear a boom.
They did. They like did.
Old Taco Bell gong. Remember that?
Dong. I like the little chihuahua the best. So.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
You know Taco Bell.
Okay, back to Bigfoot. Back to Bigfoot. Back to Bigfoot.
Which also has a side helping of UFO.
It does. It does. A lot of people claim to see them around UFOs, and I used to joke that they were just intergalactic space pets, and Earth was where they let them off. It was like the dog park. They just let them off to do their business, and occasionally, might snatch somebody for a snack, or get caught with their pants down, so to speak. I'm like, oh no, man. But anyway, yeah, they are a lot around UFOs. I used to joke about it.
Have you ever heard the story? Okay, I'm going to keep it as
PG as possible.
Yeah, as PG as possible. Where I forgot where I heard this. I don't remember which channel. If it was like Monster 911, but it was something like that. It was like one of those more, I consider credible channels, where it was like this dude pulls up and there's this guy. He's like a biker, like a big tough biker, and he's like sitting on the side of his road, his motorcycle parked, and he's crying, and he's like wet himself. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And the dude asks him, you know, like, what's going on? You all right, man? You know, blah blah blah. And so he says that he was out there and he pulled over to go relieve himself, and he got to about the tree line, and he looked up. Basically, he was in the middle of doing his business and saw a freaking Bigfoot like about 20 feet into the tree line.
Doing his business?
What now?
I was joking. I said doing his business. They're like,
yeah. Well, kind of. I think it was more along the lines of marking its territory, but let's. And he described it like one of those walk behind oxygen tanks that old people have, and said that it chased him like that. It was like, raw, like get out of my spot. But it was full on raging. Yeah.
Really? I've heard stories like that. I've heard those stories. I have.
Yeah.
Of course.
That was my first. I was like,
oh God. I think the first one I heard, gosh, I was still pretty new to it. So it was like 2003. Some guy was claiming they were coming down out of the mountains or the hills and doing odd things with trees. Let me just leave it there. Just gonna leave it there. But he had seen it, and I was like, I don't need a description of it. I'll take your word.
Well, it depends on what you consider odd. I mean, yeah.
So Pyromedic asks if anybody is going to the Jefferson Conference this year out in Jefferson, Texas. The Texas Bigfoot Conference put on by Craig Woolheater, or if anybody has ever been. So I probably won't go this year. I have been. I used to put it on with Craig for a number of years. And it's a good one. It's a good one. If you've never been to a conference and you're in the area, that's usually pretty consistent speakers. I think Lyle's going to be there this year. Meldrum will probably come down if you haven't heard him speak. He's worth listening to. So if you're anywhere near East Texas or within driving distance, then you should definitely check it out. The Texas Bigfoot Conference, because that is next month, and I'm not sure the dates, but I know that it's held in October. And Jefferson's just a cool town to go visit. The first week of November, I'm going to be out at Caddo Lake, which is right next to it, and we like to go into Jefferson and just putz around because it's just a charming, very cute town. So there's the plug for Craig's conference.
Nice.
So,
and we get to meet Bigfoot actually.
Oh, does he have? I think the person that used to come dressed up in that costume passed away.
No, at the Mallapalooza. So Douglas Tate's going to be there. He plays
the
Michael Myers, Jason,
Jack Link guy,
and the Jack Link. So you can buy it. You can get an autograph of a sexy Bigfoot where he's doing like the sexy pose. Yeah.
Can I tell you that when people find out that I've done Bigfoot research, it is nonstop. If they see a Bigfoot sticker on somebody's bumper, if they see one of those stupid cutout Bigfoots in somebody's yard, I get a photo. So all my normal friends think that Monica's got to have whatever's got Bigfoot on it. Yeah. And Monica does not need to have whatever has Bigfoot on it.
Nope, you're absolutely right. I got one my buddy sent me actually today out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
Bigfoot tool.
Little bottle opener, bro. Like. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
he's
have to be
like,
nice to my sweet little normal friends. I saw this and thought of you. Of course you did. Of
yeah.
course you did. I'm glad that seeing things like that conjures images of me.
I'm the go-to.
I'm charmed. Yes, thank you. Flattered, flattered. But okay, so other research areas, like kind of within my vicinity. So southeast Oklahoma, again, make sure that you either have permission to get on the land or you are on public lands. But southeast Oklahoma is where the original Area X was. Um, and it was deep to get in there. It was not near really anything. It took a good hour at least off of the main road to get in there. And it had activity. I mean, it wasn't all Sasquatch. Like I said, I hadn't seen anything like that I would say was 100% Bigfoot related, but I did have some weird, creepy ass stuff happen to me. You know, we've talked about it before. I've talked about it on Texas show back Brian Brown when Brian Brown had uh, Bigfoot. Was it Bigfoot Central? What was it? Bigfoot Tonight. I can't remember. He had a podcast for a while. He and I talked about it because one of my experiences with him, he's a dude that blew past me running, and I was like, "Don't run." Because I'm gonna get eaten. You got long legs. He's like 6'3". I'm 5'6". And my little legs can't pump that hard.
Little legs. Take my little legs.
I got the legs of a corgi dog. So yeah, so Southeast Oklahoma is another good place to research. For really anything, because there's I really do think that there is Bigfoot out in there. I think that there's very likely Dogman out in there. There's a lot of Native American entities that are out there as well that you could very easily come across, like the little people. I know the little people are in East Texas because I saw one. So they're definitely up in Oklahoma, in my opinion. You got Deer Lady, you got a lot of things that are happening around up there. And if you just, like I said, get out there, do a little investigation, and stay for a little while. You can't go in and spend one night and expect stuff to just happen to you. I know I know some researchers that claim that no matter where they stay, there is a Bigfoot lurking around their tent immediately the first night. I doubt that, but again, wasn't my experience. Offered to usher in an experience for this person, and I was not allowed to do that. So how little was the little person? It was maybe 2.5 feet, about 2.5 feet, I'd say. 2.5 feet. Yeah, it wasn't very large, but it was creepy as heck. I mean, it was not a friendly looking thing, that's for sure. So Joe, do you want to go to the West Coast? Do you want to talk about Bigfoot and film? Don't you dare say Harry and the Hendersons.
Well, see, right. Well, see, part of the thing that kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say discourages me, but like, especially with the West Coast, a lot of those places are, also huge, UFO hotspots. So being as, now that I'm older, like I think that when I was a kid, it didn't bother me. Same with the ghost thing. Ghost didn't bother me. But now that I'm older, like I don't have any business in their backyard. Like I same with the ghost hunt, that Richard Woody wanted me to go with them. I was hesitant about it, because I'm like, now that I'm older, the fascination and awe of it has turned into a self-preservation. Like, no, I have no business going over there, like
calculated risks. You start taking those as you age.
Yeah, like I was saying about the Smoky Mountains, back then when I was a kid, I I was like, man, this is awesome, you know. And
Wow,
now I
no,
look
we
back and
never
I'm
thought
like,
of anything like that.
yeah. And now I'm like, no,
I
dude.
tried to pet a deer, like a full-on wild buck, when I was like 16, and I got damn close. I am lucky it didn't gore me.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. You start thinking about stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, I don't know if that's just, you know, a natural thing with us, period, as humans, you know, as we get older. I mean, it's just like, you know, when you're a young teenager and you get your first hot rod or whatever, and you're doing 120 miles an hour in the, you know, pitch black and freaking the middle of, you know, rural country. Then, you know, nowadays, you know, you're like, dude, all it would have took is one freaking deer to cross the road, and that would have been the end
Oh
of
my
it.
gosh, right? I remember
You know?
yeah. Okay, so Daredevil Monica was in a very dark part of her life. And I lived off of 190. I had to drive through Livingston out into East Texas. And I worked in Houston, so I would get home very late at night. And I remember I don't know what the hell I was, but there was nobody on nobody on the road. And it was 4 lanes across, right? I was in a pretty like well paved part of 190, just coming out of Livingston to the east. And it was a full moon and there was literally nobody around. So I floored it. Like I think I got up to 110 and I turned my headlights off and went as fast and as far as I could without my headlights on just to see if I could do it.
I was just
Stupid.
I was just gonna say that exact same thing. I used to get in my when I moved out to out in the Bastrop area. There's an FM road, and so it's trees on both sides. And when it was full moon or a bright moon, yeah,
Right.
I'd floor that thing and I'd turn the headlights off and just go by the the silhouettes of the trees. And
Yeah.
just, you know,
It was a full moon. I could see the blacktop clearly.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's pine trees all, along the side of the road, but it's a 4 lane and then it was clear cutaways, back for obvious reasons and then the pine tree. So, I mean, it was clear as could be. So, I mean, I could see it wasn't pitch black, but man, I think I got like, I want to say it was 110 and I just turned my lights off. I was like,
No, yeah, and I drive that road still to this day, almost pretty much every day, because half of that road is my way to work. But
I'm going to turn my camera off for a second, but I'm still here.
Go for it. You're good. But I look at the little drainage ditches for every driveway, up and down that road, and I'm like, dude, all it would have taken was a foot off the road, hit that freaking drainage ditch.
Right?
That's
or,
it.
a stray raccoon taking a midnight stroll across 190.
Or a freaking boar, like we were talking about, because those things are black as night. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I think it's weird how it's like, I wouldn't say it's like being a reckless kid, but you don't factor in
I wasn't
all
a kid. I wish I was.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did that in my 20s and 30s and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was solidly in my 20s when I did that.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I still consider that a kid too, though.
Well, yeah, like compared to now, absolutely. I call people in their early 20s children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my oldest daughter is almost 30, and whenever she tells me about decisions she makes, I'm like, you're a freaking kid. What are you, a child?
Sorry, I'm trying to find an answer for Pyromedic. He wants a description on what that little guy was wearing that I saw. And I've got my fairy book here. And it's similar, like in tone, to these clothes. But I've got to find it.
Was it like Willow, like the two little pixie dudes or whatever they say?
No, they weren't. He wasn't wearing like a
bikini,
like fur. Stupid bikini. There's a lot of folklore actually tied into that.
Yeah.
Go and rewatch it as an adult. Like, There's a lot of folklore tied into Willow. Just like, again, and I'm going to keep spouting it, like anybody who's interested in folklore, or especially from around the world, like different religious beliefs and what spurred them, you really should at least read American Gods by Neil Gaiman, because the book covers quite a bit. The TV show really covers it as well.
I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great book and a great show. So the colors were similar. They were earthy colors, kind of muted. He was wearing a red hat, but it wasn't pointed that I remember. It might have been like folded over, but he had like a red hat on. And he had like a mossy muted, like green and brown, and I want to say a little bit of red, like in his clothing, and like a shirt and pants on and like little boots. And see that red? See how that's kind of an earthy color? It was kind of like that. And it looked like natural dyes to me. Like right, when I think back on it, it seems like natural dyes.
That's what I was going to say, natural dyes. Yeah, like something taken from a plant, or like an Indian paintbrush, or something like that.
And they weren't crisp and new. They were soiled. They were dirty. I mean, they didn't have like dirt all over him, but I mean, he'd been wearing them a minute, and he was just trotting along. He was just walking right along the side of the road. And I was like, holy because I was in the back of the truck, and I had these two other women researchers in the front. We were coming back to camp, and I saw this, and I was like, are you kidding me? Because we weren't driving that fast. We were coming through this place that we camped, that I'm not going to tell anybody about, in East Texas. And it was just like, it was on like the clear cut right before you get to the tree line. He was on the farther side, closer to the tree line. You could see him still. We were passing a lighted area, and he was just on the fringe of it. And his movement of walking is what caught my eye, because I was thinking raccoon, or something normal. And I see this thing, and I'm like, holy sh! And I look up, and they're having a conversation in the front cab of the truck. And I'm like, did you see this? And, she kept driving, and I'm looking, but I'm not wanting to like make a big deal out of it, because I didn't want that thing to see me, because it did not look friendly. And it wasn't that far from our camp, and it was walking in the direction of our camp. And I was like, I don't want that thing coming anywhere near me. And because I don't trust Faye, I don't trust fairy at all. Right. And I remember, because when we get into camp, my campsite was the first one you would stumble upon if you were to come into our camp. And I was camping in the back of my SUV, and I just remember thinking, please let me fall asleep fast, and I really hope I don't have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, because I was afraid to wake up and this ugly, because it wasn't an attractive thing. It was kind of a scary, mean looking thing. I want to see this thing like pressed up against the window looking at me. I don't have a lot of luck coming out of sleep in these places. So, oh gosh, I just remember thinking, please let me go to sleep fast, and please let me not have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
That reminds me of that little troll dude on Cat's Eye.
Yeah, it reminded me of that too. Yeah, and like the little, I forget what his name was, the little dude from Labyrinth. The one that was helping her. Hoggle. Kind of reminded me of Hoggle too. Like with because it had deep bruise on the side of its face. I remember that. So yeah, seen some weird stuff.
Saw a tweaker gnome. That's what
I saw a very determined, pissed off looking gnome, and I was like, you guys see this? You see this? They didn't even register that I was talking to him. I was like, oh, I see it.
Oh, yeah.
So lots of crazy things. Bigfoot. I mean, if you want to keep talking about places to investigate or whatever, we can wrap it up. We've been on for an hour and a half.
It's whatever, yo. You know me. I'm down. I'm down either way.
Well, I mean, we can just touch on the Pacific Northwest really fast. So the places that I've investigated, the Gifford Pinchot, which is very close to Mount St. Helens. In fact, one of the campsites that I would stay at, you could see Mount St. Helens from. You could see St. Helens and Adams. And I do think that there is something going on in there. There are berry patches. There's a lot of stories that come out of Gifford Pinchot about these creatures in there. So if you are in the Pacific Northwest, specifically northern Oregon or southern Washington, which is where this would be, around the town of Cougar, Swift Lake Reservoir, all up in that area, you're in prime country, but you already know that. So anybody who might be within driving distance or really wants to get out and go take a look, you can't go wrong up in the Gifford Pinchot.
Yeah, no, that's specifically my nope area.
Really?
Like right around,
Go?
yeah, Oregon, Washington area, like way out there with. I don't know. There's just something. I don't know. That forest to me is just. I've never been, but everything I see about it, just when I see it, it looks a lot more ominous than, and I can actually, I can actually, kind of tie into the fact that, like, so when I think about it, like if I think about the map, right, or whatever. Like that's more of the Bigfoot territory. It's nice. It's cool. You're a big hairy creature. You know what I mean? You're gonna want to stay in an environment that keeps you. I don't see him like in Texas as much. Like a dog man, I can see that in Texas. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But
I can see a dog man anywhere.
right. But I mean, you got to think of it like. Even if you think of it like a dog breed, right? Like, right. I would see a husky or a Saint Bernard more in the northern, and then you'd see like a more short-haired dogs to the south. You know what I mean? So, so I'm taking into the account of, a big, hairy, fluffy thing would be a lot more freaking comfortable up there. But then again, like where you're at, the Red River area, I mean, when the winter time comes around, like from fall to spring, that's pretty comfortable if you were wearing a giant coat as well.
Yeah, but I mean, just like in the winter and late fall and early spring, but the rest of the time it's miserable. It's miserable.
Right. Yeah.
No, just like, okay, so you go inland in California, Oregon, Washington, you stay in the coastal, like the marine, where the marine layer can come in. It's tolerable, but you get inland, like where Willow Creek is, like Bluff Creek, it's hot as hell. It's just as hot as Texas. Mm. It is hot, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. You get into eastern Washington, it's like a desert. It's hot.
Yeah. Because right, exactly. Like, even though there are, native tribes that talk about it, like I can't see the hairy man in freaking Nevada or Arizona. It'd be just like, I mean,
out in the desert areas, right. Yeah, but I mean,
unless you go with the underground theory, if you go to inner earth theory, then yeah.
But there are mountains, right, and they're scrubby. They're scrubby, not necessarily like towering pines, but there are still.
Yeah.
There's still vegetation.
Now that I'm thinking about it, desert night, they're freaking cold.
Oh yeah, they are.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, now that I think about it, I can't exclude that territory either. Huh.
Can't exclude nothing, dude.
Yeah, I can't take nothing out of it. Can't take nothing off of these subjects.
So if you're going to go investigating, I highly recommend one of these. Topo maps. Call the ranger stations. They sell them for the national forests if that's where you're going.
Topographical map.
Yes, that's what I had to use to navigate through the South San Juans because we would go off trail.
See, it's topography. It's not completely flat.
Yeah, but at my high elevation, I should have been able to see the Eiffel Tower. Apparently.
Yeah, well, our eyesight's only so good. You had a telescope.
That's what binoculars are for, right? That's what telescopes are for. If I can see the surface of the moon, I should be able to see the Eiffel Tower.
That's right. 250,000 miles away versus, a few thousand. 10 to 15.
Let's see. Hey, always a pleasure. Okay, so we're pretty much wrapping up. I've exhausted my Bigfoot brain for the time being, unless you have questions. I mean, if anybody in chat has questions, Joe and I are happy to answer those.
Or at least speculate.
Well, answer them to the best of our ability. I'll tell you what my opinion is. Give you my opinion. Not that it means anything.
Yeah. This is true. Last time I had an opinion, Jen had to ask for it, or else I wasn't allowed to say nothing about it. That's marriage. I want your opinion. I'll squeeze your head.
Yes, maps are our friends. Absolutely, because you're not always going to have 5G. Learning how to read a compass is going to be your friend too.
Yeah.
Please learn to do that. Please learn to read a topo map. If you don't already.
It blows my mind whenever you think about, not to get off subject, but you think about the way we got around back in the day, and there's no GPS.
Oh, no, you mean internet, MapQuest?
No Google Map. No, like free. Yeah, you pull out the big freaking map. Pulled back the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, I love maps. I love them. I mean, I've got so many maps. It's ridiculous. I've got maps of places I haven't gone yet because I planned on going there to research and I just never had the time. So there's still a whole slew of places I intend to go. I'm going to drag Joe along with me to terrorize him. And probably at some point I'll get abducted by aliens because I'm in too close a proximity to Joe.
Yeah, see, I am the Bigfoot alien connection.
You are. You're the intergalactic space pet gatekeeper.
Yeah, once I'm on a Bigfoot or a bender, then I'm, Bigfoot. Like, what is that smell? Why is it coming through the brushes at me?
I hope you have a big plastic bag to clean that up with. What are the largest tracks you've seen? Ooh. To be honest with you, I haven't found a lot of tracks. I've found impressions. The last set of tracks that I found that I couldn't rule out that they weren't human because, it was an area where people would tend to go, but it was extremely cold. We had just come out of an ice storm. I mean, it was like there was still ice on the ground, and these were barefoot tracks. And they were this straight across toes, but they were juvenile in size. They were smaller than my foot. And they were out around Fouke when I was out there. I went down, it wasn't the bridge. It was near the bean field, but it wasn't like right on top of the bean field. It was a ways down from that. But yeah, I was just poking around down in the creek. And Joe, give me a cricket. Come on.
You said bean field. What am I supposed to do with
the infamous bean field. So anyway. Yeah,
go there.
I got pictures of it. I ruined my Chuck Taylors getting down in there. Like I didn't have any casting material, like a rookie, because I didn't expect to be doing any kind of Bigfoot research. But We were so close to Fouke. I had talked Chris into going up there for the day with me, and that's when we found that. And I was like, damn it. But I got a lot of pictures.
Yeah, do you think, okay, so do you consider the viability of, especially whenever it's like in a popular area, do you lock it like almost in the same category as the crop circles? Because I kind of do. Like,
is it somebody doing it? Like hoaxing?
Yeah, I think it's
you can't rule it out.
50,
That's the problem. Yeah, right. You can't rule it out. Now, do I think that if you are deep in the woods, right, and you come to a creek and it's got these giant barefoot prints in the sand, let's say, right, and you're not hours away from civilization, but you're somewhere that you haven't seen another person for quite some time,
right, and it's not a popular place that people
it's not a popular place. I would cast them, I would take pictures, I'd take the measurements, I'd do all the things, but in my mind, for me, I couldn't rule out that it wasn't somebody just being a complete jerk, because they are out there. They will just walk through random places with these stupid track shoes, right? And just to jack with, in the off chance somebody comes across them. And it's hard for me not to either, one, say it was somebody hoaxing it, or two, say it was just some dude walking. Like, it was just some dude walking,
Right.
Yeah. And, depending on how fresh the tracks are, if they're very fresh and they're very large, maybe, a 6'5" guy isn't walking barefoot through the creek, but shit, I don't know, But if they're older prints, you can't rule out rain has eroded the edges, made them look a little bit bigger than they were. I mean, you got to take all the things into consideration.
Right. Yeah, and we've touched on this before too, and I think it sucks that we're entering into an era that now it's not just like a plaster freaking capture of a Bigfoot print or whatever, but where the AI and where computer technology and now it's like there's nothing you can trust. You know what I mean? If someone shows you a picture, it could be doctored any way, shape, or form. It's not like
right.
the Polaroid days. You know what I mean?
You got to, physical evidence is like, pictures of tracks, sure. You put this thing in there for scale comparison, sure. I want to see cast tracks.
Right.
Cast. Like, I want to get in there and examine the cast with the light on the side. I want to see if there's any kind of dermal ridges on that. That is convincing to me. But you can fake that too. I mean, we dove into all of that, like in the 2006, 2007, 8, like dermal ridges were this big thing. Everybody was like, "Oh, dermal ridges, see."
Right. Yeah, and once you bring that, because you'd have like a few and far between examples of that, and then as soon as that comes out, then all of a sudden they're freaking, everywhere, because they caught on to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I hate that about when you're discovering the paranormal or anything like that. It's instantly duplicated, faked, and put out there so densely that you're weeding out 98% of fakes just to find the 2% of real evidence, and that just sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And that goes with the ghost, with
with everything. Any of it, but whatever. That's just my.
But I'm still waiting for
running in its wheel.
Yeah, but I'm still waiting for people to start seeing ghosts from like the 80s and 90s, instead of the 1800s. Like,
you got to, they got to see those 1984 ghosts, like camp in American Horror Story.
I wouldn't know that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the story for 1984 is they're at this camp, like up in the mountains of California, and I can't remember why, but if you die within the camp boundaries, you're stuck there. Like your spirit is
Okay.
stuck there. And there's people like obviously from multiple ages. I think there's somebody from the 70s, but anyway, your spirit's stuck there. And a lot of the kids in this episode get knocked off, and it takes place in 1984. So there you go.
All right.
Ghosts from the 80s.
Well, I might have to dig into that one then, because that's an interesting fact.
Yeah, it's got Ramirez in it. I like it. That was really my favorite season.
Because if I see a ghost twerking,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be like, all right, now that makes a little bit more.
So World Bigfoot Central said red cap gnomes are killers. They dye their hats in the victim's blood. Yeah, so those are red caps, but not all red capped gnomes are red caps. Not all of them are. But yes, some of them do. So I was thinking for Joe and I that because I love books so much, and yeah, I got onto this with Tex the other night when I was on with him and whoever, I can't remember. My brain is fried. We were talking about books and book clubs and this and that. So I think that at the end of every episode, starting next week, I'm going to drag out my insanely large library and recommend a book at the end of every show.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it could be about fae. It could be about like completely fictional. It can be nonfiction, ghosts, Bigfoot, you name it. I got a book on it. I think that would be interesting.
That's dope.
I have a ridiculous collection of books on almost everything.
Yeah, dude, that's actually very awesome. You know what? And we can 1-2 punch it, and you can do a recommendation of a book at the end of yours, and I can do a recommendation of a horror movie at the end of mine.
Yeah,
give the listeners some homework, and then by the next week when it comes full circle, then be like, for the people that actually did take our recommendations up, be like, what'd you think about it? How'd you like? What was your favorite part? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think that would be good. Yeah. And we can also talk about,
interactive. See,
if the book had a movie, because a lot of them do.
Yep.
I can tote out my Howling books, and we can talk about that.
Heck yeah. No, that's a dope idea. I love that. That's great.
Awesome. Then we will be doing that. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you coming in to listen to us tonight. And if you were in the chat, we appreciate you coming in and interacting with us. We love to hear from you. So if you have any questions or want to tell me something, I want to hear stories. Tell me all your stories. Like I said, I don't judge. I really don't. Because who am I? I've had some weird things happen to me too. I just told you I saw a gnome on the side of the road in East Texas. So, I've seen some shit. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send an email to opw.monica@gmail.com. And I will eventually read that email. I don't check it every day just because I don't get a lot of emails through that account. But I will answer you. I will read your story. I will read whatever it is you have to say. And I will thank you for reaching out to me. So you want to tell them where to catch you?
So you can find us on Fridays over at the Breezy Speakeasy. We usually start the show about 9:30 Indian time. So if we're running a little late, we're running a little late. But it's kind of the same show that we do here. I'd say we try to stick to a subject, but
We do our best.
it's our Friday night, so by the time the show gets rolling, we're probably all over the place, and we cover everything from freaking 80s horror movies actually any horror movie to actual subjects, or sometimes we're just shooting the shit and hanging out and having a good time with our listeners.
Right. So come on and check us out. Check us out tomorrow, because you know what just popped in my head. If we're going to be touching on UFOs tomorrow, there is a horror movie I want us to touch on as well that doesn't get a lot of credit, and I actually really enjoyed it. And that would be Virus.
Virus. Okay. I got homework to do.
Have you seen Virus?
No, I got homework to do.
It's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it. It's got Donald Sutherland in it.
Okay.
And it's about an alien intelligence that comes down onto this ship. I want to say it's like I can't remember if it's a military. Anyway, it gets into the ship and it gets into the computer systems. And this crew is a salvage crew, and it starts creating robots, and it starts killing everybody and using their body parts. And basically it does an analysis of humans, and it determines that we are a virus on this planet. And it is this intelligence job to wipe us out. So it is a very interesting, scary, in my opinion, horror movie, and I enjoyed it. So let's hit on that tomorrow.
Yeah, that you were talking about it, and I had to discount the actor and actress, but there was one I recently saw that was kind of like that. I think like Ryan Reynolds was in it for like a whole bit of 30 minutes, but it's like they find they're on like the space station or whatever. They find a alien, but it's not like an alien. It's more like a little octopus looking thing, like slime. And then it starts like literally taking. I have to relook it up, but it was a pretty good one, because of course, space has that, in space, nobody can hear you scream.
Yeah.
So, and also if we let this thing get back to Earth, then that's it. Kind of like the Alien series, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, this thing is already on Earth, and it does not like us.
Yeah, so we're already screwed.
But luckily, we're a lot of water, and it's made out of electricity. So screw you. All right, y'all. So thanks for joining us tonight. Catch us both tomorrow over on Breezy's channel at the Breezy Speakeasy. And later next week, I'm actually going to be on Rivas's show. I'm going to be doing the Codex of Curiosities. And he wants me to yap all about the Fae. So you get to hear me talk about that. So come on over and check that out. I don't know if we're pre-recording or if this is going to be live. I'm not sure how he's going to do this, but I'll be over there. I'll be over on Joe's show. Joe will be on Joe's show. Joe will be on my show next week. So make sure to check it all out. And until next time, we really appreciate you checking in with us, and we'll see you soon.